It's your right to be you. And I think that's still lost. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's starting to sputter in and out on me, bud. I have to give you a few seconds for that to clear up. You there, man? You back yet? Or is it still... Yeah, you went in and out that whole segment, so if you can just roll back about 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me say this. Anybody who's ever said that, has never had any affiliation with the black community. And I can say that from personal experience because anybody who has ever been in the black community has been a part of a peace walk or a peace march in their town because of somebody who got shot in the school on black crime. Every community I've ever been to has either had a church or a group that has come together to try to find a way to walk and march for peace and solidarity because somebody died in their neighborhood and it was black on black crime. Every community I've been to, I've never met one that did not hold some form of rally to try to improve their situation. So anybody who ever brings up that argument is simply living in ignorance. The simple facts are, anywhere, doesn't matter if it's white, black, Hispanic, Asian, anywhere that you have high levels of poverty and crime, that's going to happen regardless of race. Doesn't matter. Those are the two integral factors. Poverty and crime always come together. Now that goes back to what you're saying, the systemic part of the slavery mindset, and that goes back to what I was saying about it's the ideology, the way people look, the fact that as white people we're taught that there are good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods, and we're not taught it in the aspect of there's more crime over there. We're not. And a lot of people who listen to this who might be on my side of the whole quote-unquote race aisle are probably going to disagree with that, but that's true. I mean, there are sociological studies done to show that how people have that mindset, how we give ourselves that mindset that the black neighborhoods are bad neighborhoods. And we then are feeding into the own problem that we've created. And it tears me up. And it's like you said, whether or not black-on-black crime happens or doesn't happen in a certain area has zero effect, has zero to do with anything to do with police officers and police brutality. Nothing. African Americans could be the most violent people that have ever walked the earth. They could, kill 9,000 of each other every day. Wouldn't matter because it doesn't affect, like you were saying, a man or woman who has taken an oath to protect that person, regardless of who they are. So I understand the point that you're saying. I support it 100%. I don't see why people try to find excuses, because this is what it is. Why do people try to find excuses to skate around the fact that they might have to face themselves in the mirror and see something they don't like? They might have to see in the mirror that there's a part of them that struggles with racism. There's a part of them that struggles with classism. There's a part of them that struggles with the idea that they think they are worth more than another human being. And that's what we need to face. That's the root. That's the problem. It's the mindset. It has nothing to do with, the neighborhood you live in, the cities you're in, the country you're in, whether slavery happened on your side or their side. It has to do with your mindset, where you're at right now as a people, and we're in the wrong spot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Going out again on me, brother. It's okay. I'll let you come back in. Yeah, you're good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Well, let me just jump in and kind of give some personal on my end, because I've told several people this, and it's funny the looks you get when you say it. I grew up in the quote-unquote ghetto of my town up in Monroe, Louisiana. South Side, I was born on South 1st Street. I mean, right next to the railroad tracks. I mean, that is... If you've ever been to Monroe, you just know that's the south side of town. That's the quote-unquote bad part of town. You've got 3rd Street. You've got the Fruit Bowl. You know, that whole area, Jackson Street and down, is just considered the bad part of town. Some of the streets, especially 3rd Street, 2 streets down from where I grew up, is maybe like one of the more popular havens, if you will, for things like crime and drug use and weapons and things like that. But the point being, you know, I grew up as pretty much the lone white guy in my neighborhood, at least for a couple of street radius anyway. So it allowed me to see from an early age things that a lot of people will use as arguments, like everybody who works hard is able to get out of things, simply doesn't fly in some areas. If you're in the suburb of New Orleans, if you're in Harahan, or, you know, you're over in Lafayette or Baton Rouge or something, yeah, I believe you work hard enough, you can have whatever you want, regardless of your race. That's just most likely. There's still going to be things that I say that one race or another is going to have privilege on. Nobody's ever going to convince me there's not a such thing as white privilege in America today. Tomorrow, maybe that changes. Pray to God it does. But if you've ever spent any time in a quote-unquote ghetto, you know that the mentality that is in that area is much harder to get through than just the work hard mentality. It's not just something as simple as you make $200 extra more than so-and-so, so you're able to get out. It's not something as simple as nickel and dime. Because it goes back to what I said 30 minutes ago. When you have no idea who you are as a person or as a culture, and that's all you know, I can tell you all day long that you can get out of it, but in your mind, how can you comprehend what's out there if you've never been taught, shown, grown, gifted, told? If you've never been promised there is something better for you? If you've just been, ingrained from birth, this is how things are, how can I then just expect you to work hard out of it if you don't understand, if you don't have the paradigm that there's something above where you're at? And that's what a lot of people don't get. Yes, hard work will take you very far in life. Proper choices will take you farther. But that doesn't negate the fact that if you are born and raised in a mindset that says this is it, you're most likely going to be stuck with this is it. Regardless of how hard you work, you're going to be working hard on the street, not working hard at a white-collar job, becoming CEO of a business. Yes, and people who are going to argue, plenty of black men have become successful or entrepreneurs or able to get out of the quote-unquote hood. It doesn't change the fact that it still exists, that the mentality is still there, and that bondage is still there. Just because there are people like Mark Ingram and, Cameron Jordan and, just go into different leagues. There's a LeBron James. Just because there's successful black men in sports and in business and acting doesn't mean that most of black culture still struggles with the mentality that they can't go above the sagging pants and the drugs and the rap game. They feel like that's all they can amount to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.